All right, that's what happens when you use cedar. You saw all them teeth that were broken out. So I went into the dust deputy and pulled out my cedar shavings from the 1/8 inch bit, and then I used some good old Titebond and I smeared the glue all over it, and then I sprinkled it with that and pressed it into the deals, and because I just had way too many teeth to try and fix. So cedars, it'll just split out and you lose a whole roll of teeth here and there. So I'll let that harden overnight, then I'll sand it again, and then I may need to fill it again. And when I get done with it, it'll look pretty good. So, all right, these are my lanterns for the kits that they've been ordered. There's some over there, and a couple of them they want assembled. The other they just want left in kit form, and I got glass out. So it's just a matter of putting them together and going to town with it. So there we go. All right. I need to do a little bit. I saved some of my fine sawdust off of the sander. And you can look in there. And there we go. I still need to do a little bit of filling on some of that. And then this is some that hadn't been really smooth sanded, but it feels in pretty good. And there was a lot of missing teeth on this because it's cedar. So anyway, I'm going to use the CA glue and mix sawdust in there and fill that with that, and then sand it here quickly. All right, with a little bit of sawdust and a little bit of, I just regular use Titebond first, and then for the second coat, I didn't want to mess with it gluing overnight. I didn't have too much to fill, so I just went over it with the Instabond, I went over it with the medium thickness or thin thickness. I think it is Harbor Freight, just regular super glue, and then I rub sawdust in it, and then I hit it with the accelerator. So then I'll sand off real quick with some finished grit, and it ought to be good to go. I have to keep learning this lesson, but if you're wanting to sand something, get down to that 30 grit, just clean it off, get it, and then move back up. You want that thing to quickly take it off of there, clean it up. The 80 grit wasn't hardly doing nothing but just kind of doing a little bit. So I'm going to hit it and go to town with it. All right. There's no clear coat on that yet, and it needs a little more touch up on that corner for sure. But put the clear coat on there, and all them other little imperfections will come away, and it'll make it all a little bit darker. Anyway, half them teeth were missing on some of them, and that's one thing about cedar is it's problematic. Like every one of them were missing down to that length right there, and they still came out looking all right. So here we go. So that little guy there's ready to go, and we need to finish assembling that, cutting the other parts of the kit out here in a little while. Alrighty, I needed one more panel. It was 13 by 24. That's for the bottom of this and the top of this, and then of course I've got to cut that in half and put the tray to get the tray built, and that will give me the top part, and then it gives me the inner tray for the drawers. So we'll get that done, and that's all glued up. So 2 or 3 hours we'll be able to cut that out, and you go ahead and get this part of it done, and I can also engrave the top of that. So let's get that done. All right. Sometimes people think that this happens by evolution. I got this door in there backwards because of the other two, but hey, it's there's nothing sticking out here either way. It works either way. That's probably a better design to do it this way than my first design, which is this whole thing just flipped around, and then the latch would be on the right. So I put my latch on the wrong side of the door. In other words, the part that doesn't have the flat goes inside. Anyway, trying to make these to fit. Sometimes you gotta, well, most of the time you just have to take a little file, clean that up, and run that along there, because it does fit in the glass screw. The glass screw is 1/8 inch, and that's what you got, and that's really what you're working with is 1/8 inch. Now I could take it and punch that with my hand and probably break that, Of course, I could do the same thing with painted glass. So these are, like I said, not to be beaten on the bear with or anything, but and I guess if it bears chasing, go ahead and feel free to. You can always get another lantern, right? Anyway, so there you go. That one's in. I've got to put clear coat on everything, and I'm getting ready to put the finishing touches on this guy right here. I just need to get me a center and just put my V-carve bit in there and carve the deal out and get that thing going, and then I'm going to laser it. Alright, that's the lantern top for eagle eyes. I'm going to laser that now and make that a dark color, and then we'll shoot a little clear coat over it. Laser engraved the eagle. See how dark it is. I might slow it down just a little bit right at the end of the time in there playing it. And then it just takes the neighbor out. Let that run. Put the lid down, trying to smell smoke. Alright, now so the laser hitting it kind of gives it a kind of a 3D look. I think that's going to look good, so I'll put a clear coat of lacquer over the top of that. Alright, this piece has been drying for over an hour and a half or so, so it's probably glued up enough to where I can cut out some pieces out of it, and we'll go ahead and get that unclamped and put her in the CNC. Tinder box adapter kit. The bottom of the lantern fits in this, and then this gets glued to the top of the box. And then the other box on the back side is it'll be a little frame for the drawer. So come on, just fine. Lantern tank in great shape. There she is there. There's that guy there, nice and engraved in that with the laser. And then this is the drawer, and that little box that I'm cutting over there, one will go on the top of this and make this nice and solid, and then the other one will go inside, glued to this tray right here. So it'll glue right to that tray, and then that panel right there will go right there on it. From what I know, I think that's right. If I remember right, that's what happens. So then this is a little notch, the brass screw that goes in that top board and hangs down. So these are my last few parts. They're coming together. 1, 2, yeah, going together good. And I recycled an old drawer here the other day that had a, just broken out joints and stuff, and I've been using that in some of my projects around the shop. Alright, that's what's left after we got the running. And here are the parts. We got 4 of them. There they are there. That's the drawer slides. And then this is the jig adapter where the lantern goes into that. I need to, of course, do a little sanding on them to get them up to speed. And I'll pull the screws out of this thing, and then I'll be ready to take a rest for a few days. Alright, these are all my parts. This is my door face, and that goes up a 1/4 inch high. So I'll glue these parts together, and then I'll glue this part here first together, and then I'll glue these two together, and the last thing I'll do is put on this edge right here. So let me get that glued on, and then this glued onto here. Alright, went up to Harbor Freight and picked up some tubes of the 36-inch welding rod, and got them at a decent price, even with all the tariffs that are starting to happen. Anyway, they were cheaper than what I was buying them for. Not quite as cheap as they were 4 years ago, but they were still a little bit cheaper than what I'd sell them for. So like 7 of them for $12. So I put them for about $1.80 a piece. So that's good enough. Anyway, that's a bent hoop right there on the top of them wooden walnut lanterns. This is the jig that I use to make these with, and I use this is the first step that comes out of there. It's just a straight piece of brass, 36 inches long, and it bends it into this shape right here. And right now, and then I mark right here where the bend is, and then I'll put it over here into the vise, give it a tap with the rubber mallet, and then when I bend it over to the corner here, then I cut it with a bolt cutter and then grind it on a sander. So I'm gonna make up a few more of these as I'm here. All right, I'll just put it in there and kind of give it an easy bend it around there, and then fits into the grooves right in here, and there's a groove right in here, and there's a groove right in here. And each one of these from just I just made them. So then I start squeezing these guys here up into where it starts bringing them up parallel. If you don't parallel them up, then it'll get in a bind, and it won't be as good as what it is if you keep them paralleled up. And the reason I don't just keep these running by themselves is once you try and get all that pressure on them to bend them up straight, they will get locked up. You can't hardly get them open. So you need the bar clamp to put the final pressure on it, because you can release the bar clamp with a screw handle. So I just bring it up tight, or I can do it with a hand. Then I set this little guy right here in between them two guys, and then I have this right here, and that just brings it up. Of course, I'm just cranking on that. That allows me to loosen that up very easily. If it didn't have that pipe clamp on there, you'd be pushing hard to get those off of there. And then you just loosen this up, give it a few cranks, and lift it out. And then it springs apart. And of course, I didn't mark my deals in there for the pins. So let me just get it pretty close to SX. Pretty close to it there. We'll do it that way. All right, and then we'll do one more. Okay, with those 3 there, those 18 there, that's 21. So 7 times 3 is 21. I'm gonna run them over the grinder and knock them sharp points off of them, off of the sander real quick, and then I'll be done with those. All right, I'm getting ready to store this box, put it away. That's my jig for making the bells. This is the jig for cutting the slots in the rails. This is Mr. Frankenstein that cuts the tenons on the ends of the dill of the post. This is for drilling the faces. This is a jig for cutting the doors. This is a jig that cuts the dowels. It cuts the riser dowels. It also cuts the blade curves on there. And also is a nice straight edge for cutting the edge off of like a temporary fence. And then here is the backdrop for the jig that cuts to the angled holes, and then this is the jig that I use to engrave and that, and then I keep this bit in here just so I don't lose it. Anyway, so you put all that stuff back in there, store that back underneath the bandsaw for the next time that I've done this. And I don't really know how many lanterns I've made. Probably close to 100. At least close to 100. Just made 16 in this one last batch. But anyway, so there we go. And there's our 3 lanterns. I did add the new post. This is a tool that you can use to clean out the post in there. And also figured out that you can use like crazy, just a little old post-it note glue, or a little glue that you put on papers, sticking them together. It's just for like kids' craft and stuff. You can put them on there, and that'll just keep them, if they're just loosely sliding or about to fall out, just put a little bit of that on there, and it never gets hard. So Just kind of keeps it stuck in place. And then these don't have any finish on them, but we're working on that to get some finish on there. And that's your up and down. Of course, your door right here with your little toggle. And then your door opens up so you can get in there, and something catches on fire or something, you put it out before it burns your lantern down. And then this other deal is right here is your kit for the flint and steel. Of course, your 210s are in there, and the flint and steel. The candle goes in here, and then this is your tinder, your char, things like that goes in here. And my next set, I turned this door around the other way, so my 210s will be in there sideways. So it's designed to pull out and use it, and then it's got that gravity latch on it. So there we go. And with the pine kits in a bag, I just gotta make a little flower sheet for them, and they'll be out. The cedar lantern came out, of course, beautiful. Cedar is such a beautiful wood. It's a little bit hard to work with. I spent more time on this one than I have on most of them, but it did come out really good. And this is Eagle Eyes. He requested that. He's going buckskin. I think either went Eagle Eyes last year or he's going this year. I can't remember. I can't keep them all straight. But anyway, that's all finished. This hasn't got any finish on it yet. I'm waiting to see, and then I'm probably will carve something on here. But there they are. They come out really nice. Let's put it away. Go inside and let's catch President Trump on his address to the Congress. They did that yesterday. I haven't seen it yet, so let's get her done. All right. This is kind of a little deal. I just took a piece of PEX tubing, cut it a little bit longer, or just had a piece of scrap, and just slid it through the bracket, right there on the angle bracket, because I almost never go to a 45. And then I have all my stuff there, and it's real easy just to pull that out of there. And of course, my switches here for turning it up. Anyway, that keeps it. I was picking it up off the ground on the back because I had them hanging off the back end. But let's put them out here while I can get to them. Anyway, so I picked up some new belts at Harbor Freight today, and there we go. So, all right. Going to be back to Pinewood Derby time. And a little later, I've got 10s coming tomorrow, I guess. And once they come, then I'll box those up and get them ready to give them out to people. So there we go. And there's Derby time. Our Derby kits. And my grandson's car, we're still working on that. He's supposed to come down Saturday morning, and we're going to work on that some through Saturday and Saturday afternoon. This is my truck. My car, I always build a car, and I'm always messing with it. Anyway, it came out pretty good, I think, but it's a lot of fun with it. So, and of course, those run down the gravity track, and I haven't lined it up or lubed it yet. But that one, the wheels right there is the steering wheel, and all that good stuff. Half the cars I put the steering on the left driver's side, which that's exactly backwards of, I'm right-handed, so I started changing the steering wheel to the right-hand wheel, and it's a whole lot easier if you're right-handed, to use pliers there. So anyhow, there's the old truck, and hopefully this old car will morph us into one with wheels and stuff in the next couple of days. And if you're questioning what that is, that's a rotisserie, or like curing paint for a derby car that plugs into that's a microwave motor. Turn that thing around, and it'll just sit there and turn, and then you put your heater here, and it'll cure your paint a lot faster. So that was free. There we go. Time to take a break.